I heard that you were known for your entrances, and that was one. And I'd like to say,
there's nothing like coming into the basement of an Italian restaurant.
It's here. It's
24 years into your carer.
In the East Village.
Thank you, Mindy.
I personally prefer Chelsea or the Hell's Kitchen area, but this is good. This is good. First of all, I'd like to say I have a confession to make to. I've never heard of you.
Okay.
I have no idea who you are. So, forgive me, but let's just get down to it. Who is Ross Van Looven?
All right. Well, most of these guys know this, but since we are doing a podcast in the entire world, who is Ross Van? Great question, by the way.
Thank you.
You know what, guys? As you know, I was born in Jersey City. Yeah, that's right, in the house tonight. One-legged alcoholic mom and a sort of son of a farmer stepfather who was a maniacal alcoholic.
Sorry.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then got into rock music, and I guess here I am talking to you. So yeah,
so
it's pretty much the life of Ross Van Looven.
Now, some say
the first 4 years were amazing.
First 4 years?
Not in my life, of the career.
Oh, the career. But after that, some say you sold out when you wrote the lyrics, music, and performed the commercial jingle to the Food Emporium.
Yeah! Yeah. No, listen.
Would you like to comment?
Of course. I mean, you know the song, obviously. So you know, you guys know this. Everybody knows the song. Yeah! People love the song.
I'm sorry, I don't know the song. I shop at the Whole Foods.
Whole Foods doesn't have
Fresh Direct, the Trader Joe's.
If you guys behave, maybe I'll sing Food Emporium later. Maybe not. Maybe not.
So another big answer to the question people want to know is your relationship with Kurt Cobain. Exactly, were you a fan? Were you buddies? Was he your mentor?
None of the above, really. You know what? I never talk about this, but I got sort of bamboozled into doing this interview, and I want to make the best of it. So why not? We'll talk about it. Great. I actually met Kurt Cobain a long time before I was ever out on the West Coast.
Let's see.
And a lot of people don't realize this.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And at what point did Courtney Love come into the picture?
You know, I really don't want to talk about Courtney Love because I don't want to say things like vile or like dirty scumbag or like, you know,
I see. But
douchey fucking whoremonger.
Okay. I understand. But in fact,
murderer.
Was Courtney Love? Did Courtney Love love Kurt Cobain, or was it more just like?
I don't really answer that question, man. I don't know. I don't know. You know what? I wasn't really allowed around much when Courtney was around, so that was sort of how that was.
Can't hear you!
I said that you know, use your microphone. You're obviously an amateur, Roger.
Okay, Ross. If I may call you Ross. Yeah, there we go. Now we can hear what we're talking about. What was the reason you moved to Seattle? Why? Okay, I didn't move to Seattle. I moved to Oregon. You got to do a little research, Roger. I moved to Oregon. With my buddy Louis Manupelli. His sister moved out there.
And you immediately,
biologist.
And you immediately sought out Kurt Cobain?
And I immediately did not.
Remember, I met Kurt. Oh, right. Yes, I did not seek him out, actually.
Okay. What is the significance of Hoboken?
You tell me. Hoboken in the house? Yeah! Sorry to hear that. All right, so I've never told this story before, and I want to tell it to you guys. I met Kurt when I was 14. Everybody assumes it happened way later on the West Coast, but I was not a very good kid in school, believe it or not. I got into a lot of trouble, and they thought I was on drugs. I wasn't on drugs. I was just a fucking berserker. Woo, just walking around like a maniac, you know what I mean? Like a berserker. So my teachers couldn't handle me. I would always get really good scores on like the standardized test or whatever, but you know, like the teachers couldn't handle me. I was way too much. I was like a berserker. So they were convinced I was on drugs. My principal did a thing where he did a pee test and looked at it and said the kid's on drugs. 1987. So I went to this program called Giant Steps. Anybody from Hudson County? Giant Steps? And what you learn in Giant Steps is not how to get off drugs, but how to meet every other fucking berserker kid in Hudson County who also likes to get crazy. So that's what happened. And I met a bunch of these kids from Hoboken who would go to this club, Maxwell's. Everybody heard of Maxwell's? So they would go to Maxwell's because they would have these metal bands come in, and you could fight and not get in trouble. Moshing, right? You could go to the show, you can get into the crowd, you can fucking kick the shit out of people, no trouble whatsoever. So I was like, I like that. And we used to go all the time. Have you ever mosh, Roger?
No.
It's a lot of fun.
I see.
So I'm showing up one time, and I see these 4 white dudes sitting on a stoop, and it was old Nirvana. I'm talking like Shaq Channing and Jason Everman, like we're going way back, right? And I see this kid walking towards him, Joaquin Mendez, who was one of these fucking berserkers. And he used to do these things where he would come up on you and say, "It's time to pay the fucking taxes, scumbag," and he'd take your money. He was really like a little warped, you know, I hated him. So I was one of these guys, and usually when people say they bully the bullies, it's bullshit. But I was really one of these guys that loved to like pick on the kid that everybody else was afraid of. I would love to pick on the kid. So I saw him rolling up on old school Nirvana, and I knew what he was going to do, and I just cut him off at the pass, and I fucking knocked him out right in front of Kurt, and they loved me. I was 14, big fucking goofy 14-year-old, and they sort of took me under the wing as our mascot.
And at 14, you were doing drugs with Kurt Cobain.
You know, I know where you're going with that question, Roger, because it's so pointed, and you're actually right. It's an accident, but you're right. And they love me. There's a famous picture of Nirvana sitting on the Hudson River. I'm right outside the frame, and we smoked a joint on the Hudson River.
I see. So you were smoking pot at 14. I'm not judging. I'm certainly not judging. Now,
You're a little judge.
but the
Little Judge Judy there.
The biggest question I'd like you to answer is, where exactly were you when you found out that Kurt Cobain had passed?
Again, not a thing I like to just talk about so flippantly, but it was actually my birthday weekend. I'm born on April 4th. So yeah, I was down in San Diego. I was dating a girl in San Diego, and I asked Kurt to come down to San Diego. Kurt never went to San Diego. He hated it. But he said he was going to come down to San Diego, right? Mm-hmm. So he calls me up. I'm thinking, awesome. But you could just tell he was in like one of those real dark moods, you know? We were close enough where it's a guy that didn't ask for a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying? So when he was like, I really need you to get up here, you know, now, you know, I just got in the car and I went, drove. Mm-hmm.
You drove and drove.
He said I drove and drove, yes,
And
I did.
I'm sorry.
No, please. We don't need to hear you.
And you were on your way to see him?
Yes, I was on my way to see him. Indeed. Why else would I drive?
But how did you find out?
So I was driving through Portland. We all know the famous radio station in Portland. Nobody? Portland in the house? KCMJ? All right. Well, anyway, driving through Portland, came on the radio. Cobain's dead. Pulled over to the side of the road. Said, fucking A, that's that, you know? Maybe Huey, not right there, but got off the exit and went around and shit and got back on the 5, baby. Right back down to San Diego. And I just kept going. I was like, what's the most cliche thing I could do here? Go to Tijuana. And I went to Tijuana. And I did a bunch of fun shit. Somewhere on YouTube, how do you say YouTube in Spanish? Somewhere on that shit, there's some shit of me, because I went a little, for like, I don't know, 8 weeks, and then off to Serbia, which, a whole new chapter.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Thanks, man, I appreciate it. You know,
I'm so sorry. I don't buy it. Tijuana?
Screw you, Pearl!
Ross Van Looven, did you kill Kurt Cobain?
okay. Guys, thanks a lot. Take all the
It's an
time.
honest question.
Keep the guitars, keep the mics, keep the fucking t-shirts, which I didn't authorize. By the way.
Let him ruin it, Ross.
Roger Pearl Out Loud Magazine. Hashtag me, Roger Pearl. And on Twitter.
If he leaves, I'll stay. Ross! All right, good. Okay, very good.
Yeah, but.
Guys, let's play some music.
Check.
What a dick.
Check.
Okay.
We can hear you.
What's up with the couch now? Okay, welcome to a fucking house party then, right? Okay, great. What? Zemo, voice of a new generation.
You did win.
Move it!
All right, where's the car?
Yeah. I used to have like a room. I used to have a room. I used to have a fucking band. I used to have like shit. One guy with a car. I'm sorry. Totally good. You're good. You're good. Okay, I know.
Check.
All right. Don't mind me while I fiddle with my pedals. I am the Zemo voice of a new generation, so...
Yeah, SP Magazine, 1992.
I was being so sarcastic there, and you jumped right on me.
You did win.
All right. So here's a song. I am still making new music, which is awesome. Yeah, that's right.
Why would you do an interview for a rock show?
So I am still making new music. That's what I like doing, honestly. And I wrote this song, and you know what? Now I just want to do music for me, right?
Yeah.
So I make a song. I don't know why, but sometimes I'm just like, let me let Mindy hear the song. So I wrote a song, right, Mindy? And I sent it to you.
Yes.
Remember
Best
that?
day of my life.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Remember the heading of the email?
Yeah. Yeah.
Never, ever, I ran out of room. But in the body of the email, and I mashed up the font, same size, ever, share this with anybody. And then obviously you guys all heard on Twitter, because Mindy released it. So thanks, Mindy.
Justin,
It's not a, okay.
they love it, though.
So this is the royal couple.
Yeah!
It was written about one of the most harrowing relationships I've ever had in my life, a very dark period of my life, where I became very interested in like sort of S&M domination, but not to be involved. I'm not crazy like that. I wanted to do a whole record called S&M, and I thought I would write the songs whilst the S&M was happening, right?
Yeah!
Like an inspirational thing. And so I met this couple that are here tonight. I'm not going to mention their name. I'm not going to say who they are. They're in the background. And boy, did I learn a lot. And I took it in high school, but anatomy and physiology covered like this much. All right.
You turn to gold, I'm gonna be there for you. Don't go to the bar, gonna bury it sad. Don't go to the bar, gonna bury it sad. Looking up at the Royal Couple, I wonder just what to do. Evenings of slumber and enjoyment. Royal Couple, nutmeg stew. Afternoons of enjoyment, conversation. The Royal Couple, tea for two. The Royal Couple, baby, what do they do? The Royal Couple, me and you. The Royal Couple, tea for two. Thank you so much. Not too shabby. Not too shabby. Very sordid, dark period in my life. But I love singing about stuff like that, right? It makes for good songs.
Yeah, it's the best one.
You know, screw it. Let's talk about Kurt Cobain tonight and whatnot. And he had a really good sense of humor. So one time, I used to go back and forth, obviously, West Coast, East Coast. And man, do I miss, for all you old people out there, like, before the internet, when like fucking things were different, right? So you went to the West Coast, I mean, it was different. Now everything's fucking insane, in my opinion. So when I would go back out west, I would always try to bring sort of unique East Coast things. You know what I mean? A ho-ho, a chocodile, mayonnaise called Hellman's, best foods. It's weird. West of the Rockies, Hellman's is best foods mayonnaise. So my uncle had this sort of like wholesale baseball card shop. They would sell like Garbage Pail Kids cards and cigars. Sort of like, yeah, Garbage Pail Kids, right? I loved as a kid those Charlie Brown candies, like around Valentine's Day. You know what I'm talking about? It would have like Linus on the cover or Charlie Brown on the cover. So I got a case. I got a case of them, and I brought them back out west and back out to Portland. Kurt was playing a little club called CJ's, and they were big, but they would still do some local clubs, you know. So I get there and I start handing out these candies, and you know, if you guys are familiar with these, they come in a little heart-shaped box. And Kurt was just like, he had a really good sense of humor. He would get stuck on it. He thought it was so funny, these little heart-shaped boxes. Obviously the song came out, and I'd like to assume that he wrote it, not for that, but he titled it because of that, and I assume that because he told me that. So I'm going to play that song right here.
Yeah!
With a little caveat, because Kurt also loved metal. So when we would fool around and stuff, I would play this for him. Total metal version of Heart Shaped Box. He sort of enjoyed it. We're going to give it a shot. Like seriously, not even like one.
Move it in!
All right. Yes. Thank you. All right. Are you guys ready, or are we going to fiddle with this pedal a little bit more?
Check, check, check.